Hey guys, it's Corey from Redefining Strength, and today I want to go over how to master the perfect push-up. So the push-up is a great upper body and core exercise, and I have a variations video with 31 different variations so that you can mix things up and work your core more, or your shoulders, or your triceps. But today I want to go over how to master that basic form, because the push-up can be a really tough body weight exercise. It requires us to engage our core and use our upper body correctly to be efficient so that we can push ourselves up from the ground in one straight line. So I wanted to go over some good cues, some ways to correct any of those compensations we sometimes have, and even some regressions so that you can build up to the perfect push-up. So the perfect push-up, your hands are going to be outside your chest. You can even start on the ground to sort of help with this. Your feet are together, your body is engaged as one straight line. So you can even sort of flex everything a little bit to lift up. Your hands are outside your chest, your fingers are spread so that you can really make sure you're gripping the ground. You're then going to keep everything in line, your head in line as you push up from this dead stop and you come back down, okay? Touching the chest to the ground. Push up and back down. What people don't realize is this is very hard because it's basically a moving plank. And you want to make sure too that your elbows aren't flaring way up, your hands aren't rotating in. We like to use our upper traps and get those to engage too much. We like to do things like the worm, right? We see people's hips dropping all of the time. The elbows flare up and they create the T, the head juts forward. These are some common compensations. And it can be very hard to adjust and make sure that everything's working because we have to not only use our upper body, we have to engage our back to support our shoulders, and we have to get that perfect plank position. So you want to modify sometimes by doing push-ups from your knees, right? But you'll still see people when they do push-ups from their knees doing things like this with their butt up in the air and their hands turned in. And it's because the push-up from the knees is still a very advanced movement. It still requires a lot of upper body strength. It also doesn't require our core to work in the same way it would for the full push-up, which means that we can get better at those knee push-ups, right? You'll see someone even dial in their form and they'll be doing better knee push-ups, but they can't yet get to that first full one because they are not ever learning to engage all the way down to their feet. That's where the incline push-up can really come into play, because by doing the incline push-up and engaging through your heels, so driving even back through your heels, think about pulling the shoulder blades down by using the back to support the shoulders, and then dropping the chest to the bench, and then coming back up. You can use everything and engage correctly, bracing those abs to make sure that you're really, really engaging that core. And that can teach you how to engage everything from your head to your heels so that you can move and slowly lower the incline to get all the way down to the ground. When you do these things, those coaching cues, especially if you're working with clients, of engaging the back so they support the shoulders so they're not shrugging up, of thinking of looking even a little bit ahead and keeping that head in line can be really helpful, of bracing those abs before they start. Even running through, if you're doing this, all those different little cues like drive back through the heels, flex the quads, brace the abs, squeeze the glutes, engage the back. Running through all of those things before someone even moves allows them to take a second to assess what is working and even then enact flexing the quads or squeezing their butt or bracing their abs before they make that perfect push-up. And then taking time and using an incline where they can even pause at the bottom and have to push up from that dead stop, so they're making sure they're engaging stuff here to push up, can be super, super helpful. Because what happens is we get down to the bottom and then we lose it at the bottom and we push back up. And so when you take a second and pause at the bottom and use that incline to regress the movement, it can really help you learn how to brace all the way through. You can also use what I call the eccentric only push-up to help clients learn to take on their own body weight. So even from the ground, you can have them start here and slowly lower down. You can even help them by holding their hips or putting a band underneath, but slowly lowering down so everything lowers down together. And then you can even just have them reset at the top, okay? By doing that, they learn to take on their own body weight with a more advanced variation than they may be able to do if they had to push back up and slowly lower down, bracing that core, spending more time under tension. So these are all tips and tricks to help them build up towards that first full push-up. You can always go down to the knees, but again, when you use these other ones, you're learning to engage all the way down to the heels. And you may notice as you're teaching your clients, and even you might use it as a teaching tool, or if you're teaching yourself, to put your feet out a little bit wider. That can help with your base as well, so spreading your feet out. But eventually you want to try and bring those feet in. And then you can play around with hand positioning, widening it out, bringing it closer together, but remembering that when you're doing those things, you're slightly changing how your upper body is working. But for that basic push-up, right? You want to make sure that you're not necessarily keeping your elbows in by your sides, but you're creating almost an arrow shape with your body, keeping that head in line, even coaching your clients to look a little bit out ahead or coaching yourself to look a little bit out ahead as you do it. And guys, another great way to build up is using push-up holds. So holding at all the different positions in that push-up, so either at the top, even at the middle, or even at the bottom. And again, you can do this off an incline. You could have them do it off the bench. But by holding in all these different positions, not only are you getting some great core work in because the push-up is basically a moving plank, and now you're even pausing in that plank position, but you're helping to strengthen the upper body at each of the points in the range of motion. Maybe even where they struggle the most. So if they struggle to keep their core engaged at a specific point in that movement, by holding there, you can help them learn how to brace and really engage their abs. And from here, you can build towards that first row push-up by lowering the incline, combining it with the knee planks, and then even using some fun grips like I show my 31 push-up variations. Hope you enjoyed this video. It's a great way to help you improve that push-up form because the full push-up is a great body weight exercise to really work your core as well as your chest, shoulders, and triceps.